Welcome to a journey through the intricate labyrinth of geopolitics, where we unravel the threads of the Russia-Ukraine conflict. This conflict is a complex tapestry of historical ties, political ambitions, and national identities, all woven against the backdrop of global power dynamics. It's a story that unfolds on the world stage, with far-reaching implications for not just Russia and Ukraine, but for the entire globe. Over the next few minutes, we'll delve into the history, the key players, the causes, and the international response to this ongoing conflict. We'll explore military engagements, humanitarian crises, and the economic consequences that ripple out from the heart of Eastern Europe. We'll also shed light on the role of propaganda, the ceasefires and escalations, and the potential solutions to this geopolitical conundrum. So, without further ado, let's delve into the heart of this geopolitical maelstrom. To understand the present, we must first journey back to the past. The Russia-Ukraine conflict, as we know it today, is deeply rooted in historical events that have shaped the identities of both nations and their relations with each other. Let's start with the Soviet Union's breakup. In 1991, the Soviet Union dissolved, giving birth to 15 independent republics, including Russia and Ukraine. This was a time of great hope and uncertainty. People were dreaming of a democratic future. But the economic and political instability that followed left many disillusioned. Now let's talk about Crimea. Historically, Crimea has been a region of strategic importance due to its location on the Black Sea. It was transferred from Russia to Ukraine in 1954 by Nikita Khrushchev, the then Soviet leader, in a move that was largely symbolic when both were part of the same country, the Soviet Union. But when the Union dissolved, Crimea became part of an independent Ukraine, a reality that didn't sit well with many, especially those in Russia. Fast forward to 2004 and we come to the Orange Revolution in Ukraine. This was a series of protests against corruption, electoral fraud, and the growing influence of Russia. The revolution led to the election of a pro-Western government, which tried to steer Ukraine towards the European Union and NATO, causing a further rift with Russia. These historical events, the breakup of the Soviet Union, the issue of Crimea, and the Orange Revolution, set the stage for the conflict we see today. They created a complex web of ethnic, cultural, and political tensions between Russia and Ukraine that were exacerbated by their diverging paths in the post-Soviet era. With these historical threads woven together, we can begin to see the tapestry of the present conflict. It's a tale of two nations, bound by history, yet driven apart by visions of their future. In the game of geopolitics, actions and reactions set the stage for conflicts. As we delve into the causes of the Russia-Ukraine conflict, it's crucial to understand the key events that have shaped this turbulent narrative. The first domino to fall was Russia's annexation of Crimea in 2014. This strategic peninsula, with its warm water port and deep-seated historical ties to Russia, became the focal point of an escalating tug-of-war between Russia and Ukraine. The annexation was a bold move on Russia's part, and it was seen by many as a direct challenge to Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity. But the annexation of Crimea was just the beginning. The conflict soon spread to eastern Ukraine, specifically the Donbas region. Here, pro-Russian separatists, allegedly backed by Moscow, declared independence, leading to a protracted and bloody conflict that continues to this day. The Donbas conflict has deep roots in the region's industrial significance and its cultural ties to Russia, making it a hotbed for tensions. These two key events, the annexation of Crimea and the conflict in the Donbas region, were fueled by a host of underlying factors. These include a deep-seated historical rivalry, cultural and linguistic divides, and geopolitical ambitions. Russia's actions were driven by a desire to reassert its influence in the post-Soviet space and to counter what it perceived as Western encroachment on its sphere of influence. On the other hand, Ukraine, eager to shift its allegiances towards the West and the European Union, found itself caught in a geopolitical tug-of-war. The Ukrainian government's refusal to acknowledge the annexation of Crimea and its determination to reclaim the Donbas region have made this conflict a pivotal moment in Ukraine's journey towards self-determination and sovereignty. These actions, reactions, and underlying tensions have created a volatile mix that has ignited one of the most significant conflicts of our time. Each move, each decision, and each stand taken has added fuel to the fire, escalating the situation further and further. These actions lit the fuse that exploded into the Russia-Ukraine conflict we see today. This conflict is a stark reminder of how the interplay of history, culture, and geopolitics can give rise to complex and enduring conflicts. As the flames of conflict grew, so did the world's attention. The Russia-Ukraine conflict did not unfold in a vacuum. Rather, it played out on the world stage, drawing international attention and response. The global community responded to the escalating crisis in a variety of ways. The United Nations, while expressing deep concern, found itself hamstrung by Russia's veto power in the Security Council. Despite this, the General Assembly passed numerous resolutions condemning Russia's actions, albeit with limited practical effect. The European Union, sharing a border and many common interests with Ukraine, was particularly proactive. It imposed a series of sanctions on Russia, targeting key sectors of its economy, including finance, energy, and defense. The aim was to pressure Russia into changing course, although the effectiveness of these sanctions remains a point of debate. The United States, a long-standing ally of Ukraine, also played a pivotal role. It imposed its own set of sanctions and provided military aid to Ukraine. Yet, the conflict also became a contentious issue in domestic American politics, with disagreements over the extent and nature of the country's involvement. Other countries too made their stance known in different ways, from Japan's diplomatic protests to Australia's sanctions, from Canada's military aid to Ukraine to China's more nuanced position. The international response was as diverse as the community itself. International organizations were not silent either. NATO, while not directly involved, bolstered its presence in Eastern Europe in response to Russia's actions. The OSCE, or the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe, played a crucial role in monitoring the conflict and facilitating dialogue. Yet despite the international outcry, the conflict continues. This raises questions about the effectiveness of the global response and the challenges of conflict resolution in today's complex geopolitical landscape. The world's response, however varied, reflects the global significance of this conflict. It's a testament to the interconnectedness of our modern world, where a local conflict can have far-reaching implications, and where the quest for peace is not just a regional concern, but a global one. The cost of conflict is often measured in lives lost and homes destroyed. This statement rings true for the Russia-Ukraine conflict, which has had severe military and humanitarian repercussions. The military engagements in this conflict have been intense and far-reaching. From the annexation of Crimea to the ongoing struggle in the Donbas region, the battles have been marked by a deadly mix of conventional warfare and modern tactics. Russian and Ukrainian forces, along with various separatist groups, have been locked in a war of attrition that has claimed thousands of lives and left large swaths of land devastated. The casualty count is a sobering testament to the ferocity of the conflict. Over 10,000 people have been killed since the conflict began, with many more injured. These numbers, however, only tell part of the story. They do not account for the countless individuals who have lost their lives indirectly due to the dangers and deprivations of war, such as lack of access to food, water, and medical care. The impact on civilians in conflict zones has been particularly devastating. Homes have been destroyed, communities torn apart, and livelihoods lost. Millions of people have been displaced, forced to flee their homes to escape the violence. Children have been left orphaned, and entire generations have been scarred by the horrors of war. Yet, amidst the destruction and despair, there have also been remarkable stories of resilience and hope. Ordinary citizens, humanitarian organizations, and volunteers have come together to provide aid, support, and comfort to those affected by the conflict. They have set up makeshift schools, delivered food and medical aid, and offered a helping hand to those in need. However, these efforts, noble as they are, cannot replace the need for a lasting resolution to the conflict. The humanitarian crisis continues to escalate, and the military standoff shows no signs of abating. The human toll of this conflict is a stark reminder of the urgency for resolution. In the shadow of conflict, the search for peace continues. The Russia-Ukraine conflict, a complex and volatile situation remains unresolved today. The echoes of gunfire and the cries of the displaced continue to reverberate across the region, painting a picture of a conflict that is far from over. The Minsk agreements, signed in 2014 and 2015, were intended to halt the fighting and initiate a political process towards peace. However, their implementation has been fraught with challenges. Repeated ceasefires have been broken, and political dialogue remains at an impasse. The territories of Donetsk and Luhansk, the epicenter of the conflict, are still under the control of Russian-backed separatists, and the status of Crimea continues to be a subject of international dispute. So what are the potential solutions? Well, the key to resolving this conflict lies in diplomatic negotiations that involve all the major players. It's also crucial to address the root causes of the conflict, which include geopolitical tensions, identity issues, and economic disparities. However, it's important to remember that achieving peace is not just about ending the fighting, it's also about ensuring justice for the victims and holding those responsible for human rights abuses accountable. It's about rebuilding shattered communities and restoring the social fabric torn apart by the conflict. Moreover, the international community has a vital role to play in facilitating dialogue and supporting peace-building efforts. Sanctions, while necessary to deter aggression, need to be complemented by constructive engagement and efforts to build trust between the parties. There are no easy answers, and the road to peace will be long and fraught with obstacles. It will require political will, compromise, and above all, a commitment to the principles of justice and human rights. But let's not lose sight of the ultimate goal: a peaceful and prosperous future for the people of Ukraine and Russia. As we stand on the precipice of possibility, the world watches and waits for a peaceful resolution. As we navigate the complex corridors of this conflict, we're reminded of its far-reaching implications. The Russia-Ukraine conflict isn't just a regional issue, it reverberates through the global stage, affecting economies, alliances, and most importantly, human lives. We've delved into the history, the causes, the international response, the military and humanitarian aspects, and the current status of this conflict. We've seen how the dissolution of the Soviet Union, the annexation of Crimea, the clashes in the Donbas region, and the ongoing struggle for power and identity have all shaped this ongoing saga. The international community has responded with diplomatic efforts and sanctions, attempting to navigate the delicate balance between condemning aggression and avoiding escalation. Yet, despite these efforts, the conflict persists, with ceasefires often giving way to renewed tensions. The military engagements have not only strained the resources of the nations involved, but have also led to a significant human toll. Thousands of lives have been lost, and millions have been displaced, creating a humanitarian crisis that extends far beyond the borders of Russia and Ukraine. The Minsk agreements, aimed at finding a peaceful solution, have faced significant challenges. Yet, they remain a crucial part of the dialogue around resolving the conflict. This reminds us of the importance of international cooperation in seeking a solution. The economic consequences of the conflict are far-reaching, impacting not only Russia and Ukraine, but also global markets. The use of propaganda and disinformation has further complicated the situation, highlighting the growing role of hybrid warfare in modern conflicts. In conclusion, the Russia-Ukraine conflict is a complex and multifaceted issue with deep historical roots and significant global implications. It serves as a stark reminder of the challenges of resolving geopolitical conflicts in our interconnected world. In the end, it's not just about geopolitical power plays, but about people, peace, and the future of a region. For those who wish to delve deeper into this intricate geopolitical puzzle, there are countless resources available to help you expand your understanding of the Russia-Ukraine conflict. While we've provided a comprehensive overview, the depth and breadth of this topic are immense, and continued exploration is encouraged. One of the noteworthy resources is the book Borderland: A Journey Through the History of Ukraine by Anna Reid. This book provides an insightful journey through Ukraine's history, offering a deep understanding of the nation's past, which is crucial to comprehending the present conflict. Another recommended read is The Gates of Europe, A History of Ukraine by Serhiy Plokhy. This book offers an in-depth look at Ukraine's history and the role it has played in shaping Europe's borders and its future. For those more inclined towards digital resources, there are numerous online platforms that provide up-to-date news and analysis on the conflict. Websites like the Kiev Post, Medusa, and Radio Free Europe Radio Liberty offer a wealth of articles and reports, often from journalists on the ground. In addition, several think tanks and research institutions provide detailed reports and analysis on the conflict. The Carnegie Endowment for International Peace, the Brookings Institution, and the Wilson Center are just a few examples. Podcasts can also be an engaging way to stay informed. The Power Vertical, hosted by Brian Whitmore, is a podcast that focuses on the politics and policies of Russia, Ukraine, and the surrounding region. Finally, documentaries can provide a visual and emotional perspective on the conflict. Winter on Fire: Ukraine's Fight for Freedom is a powerful documentary that chronicles the civil unrest in Ukraine during 2013 and 2014. Remember, these resources are just a starting point. The Russia-Ukraine conflict is a complex and evolving issue, with new developments unfolding regularly. It's essential to stay informed and critically engaged with the information you consume. Knowledge is power, and understanding these complex issues is the first step towards a more peaceful world.